Deck versus engine. Who is the superior department in the maritime industry? Who's going through the better work life? Who has a better work environment? Who's having more fun in their off time? I'm gonna go over all these points and more in this video, so let's get right into it. What's up, guys? It's Dean. Today we're gonna get into detail about the maritime industry, specifically the deck department and the engine department. We're gonna put them head to head to see who comes out on top, and we're gonna go over each job and the work that goes into it, and also the work environment to see what each department is living like on a daily basis, kind of, you know, their duties, all that good jazz. So let's start right off with my bread and butter, the deck department. When you think the deck department, think of in the movie Titanic, when there's a giant iceberg in the middle of the ocean. The guy who drives directly into the iceberg, that is the deck department. Deck department is primarily responsible for the ship's navigation, safety, and cargo operations. So as a deck boy, you have to be involved and enjoy navigation. That is a huge part of the deck department. Another huge part of the deck department is chipping and painting. If you don't like chipping and painting, the deck might not be for you. So in the deck department, the lowest position is called an ordinary seaman. That is the entry-level position. You don't quite yet have the credentials to go up on the bridge and be a watchstander and be a helmsman. So you're usually going around with the bosun, helping out with the deck maintenance. Then you go up to be a able-bodied seaman, which is what I am. That's, you spend 8 hours a day up on the bridge, 4 hours a day doing deck work with the bosun. On the bridge, watchstanding, helmsman, all that good jazz. Then you can become advanced and become a bosun. Bosun is a very qualified AB, able-bodied seaman. He's very experienced, very intelligent. He knows how to basically do anything on a ship when it comes to the deck. Very qualified person. You can't just be anybody. You need to be a very experienced AB to get a bosun job. They get paid very well, so they deserve the money. After that, if you want to choose this route and get your mate's license, then you become a third mate, then there's a second mate, then there's the chief mate, and then there's a captain. Third mate, it's mainly the safety officer, like I said, inspects the lifeboats and fire extinguishers. Second mate is in charge of all navigation, usually plots the courses, responsible for that. Chief mate or first officer is responsible for the cargo and responsible for the stability. I struggle saying that word quite often. The stability of the ship. And of course, got the big honcho, the big potato, the kingpin. We got the captain. He is responsible for everybody's safety on the ship. Obviously, he is in charge of everything. He oversees everything going on the ship. So, when going into the deck department, you have to think about the ceiling. The captain is the ceiling. You can become a mate, you become a bosun. You just got to think about all the layers to it in the deck department. And the things, where can you take these skills outside of the maritime industry? Like I said, navigation, watchkeeping, helmsman, safety drills and emergency drills when it comes to firefighting and lifeboat, the unloading and loading of the cargo, maintenance of a ship, all these things you have to think about when you're pursuing this career in the maritime industry. There is that ceiling. Whereas, when we'll get into it with the engine department, there's a lot more to it, a lot more skills that you will get when you become an engineer. Deck officers are crucial in ensuring the ship stays on course and operates safely. They also perform regular inspections to maintain equipment and adhere to safety protocols. Yes, the deck officers have a lot of responsibility in the ways of, like I said, the course and operations. And inspections. Inspections is the big one. Third mates, all they do all day, it seems like, is inspections on the fire extinguishers, their monthly inspections for the fire stations, for the lifeboats, all the emergency procedures and safety drills. They are constantly making sure they are up to date, inspected properly, and ready to go. Safety drills. When it comes to your monthly drills, it's usually the mates running the show, showing you how everything goes, going over how everything works and making sure it's all good to go. Cargo operations, that's a big one actually. So all the mates, specifically the mates, have to keep track of all the cargo that's on and off the vessel. And when you're on an AB on gangway watch, you also have to keep an eye on the cargo. So for example, on my last ship, I was on a Ro-Ro car carrier, and the cars zooming on by, zooming on off. The mates were keeping track of that, all the cargo. And I was also keeping track of what ships or what vehicles were going on the vessel and off the vessel. Making sure they weren't taking anything and making sure no random people were coming on board. So, navigation and watchkeeping for the deck department. Anything up on the bridge. The bridge is where all main navigational operations of the ship is done. That is where the steering of the ship is done. That is where all communications from vessel to vessel through VHF, any type of radio frequency, anything like that is done on the bridge. So you have to enjoy standing up there, spotting ships, navigation and movement of the ships, communications of the ships. Deck department also has to deal with the mooring of the ship. When you come into port, who's tying up the ship? The deck department's tying up the ship. You're throwing your heaving lines. You're, tying up the ship with the longshoremen involved. Sometimes it can be a little bit stressful. Sometimes it can be the most dangerous part of the job, but it could also be the most entertaining. It really depends if you like that kind of thing. Very fast paced in certain moments, like going through the locks in England. It can be very stressful going through the locks because you can pull on, the current will change and you can pull on those lines and they can part and pretty bad shit can happen. In the mooring situations, you have to be very aware of your surroundings, eyes and ears, alert at all times, because anything could happen, any little mistake here, tossing a line to the tug, pulling up the tug, it's happened many times, I've seen it. You're pulling up the tug with the gypsy head, you're just pulling it up spinning and pulling up the tug line, using a little line tied off to a bigger line and just pulling it up. The little line parts, it breaks, and it comes whipping back, cuts you. It's happened to me. It's happened many times. And then the tug line falls back on the tugboat. Sometimes it could be a dangerous place to be. The pros of being in the deck department. You're outside. You're outside in the ocean. You get to see the beautiful views constantly. I look out the window at the ocean all day. I get to see the sunrise, the sunset, the beautiful stars at night. That's most of my job, is staring at a window. So I can't complain there. The skills that come along with the deck department. Like I said, a lot of things that don't translate all out of ship life. The deck department is much so what you see in movies as a stereotypical sailor. Not tying. Working with your hands and cargo handling of the crane and, moving things around and painting and cleaning and, swabbing the deck, literally swabbing the deck. So you gotta be into that, you gotta be, usually when someone chooses the deck department, they're more likely doing this as their full career, whereas lots of times in the engine department, it is a gateway into something else when they get home. For example, as an engineer, you can be an engineer off a ship as well. Simple as that. I can't go steering ships off a ship. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so for the work environment of the deck department, you're outside a lot on deck, enjoying the beautiful air of the sea. But you're also on the bridge a lot of times. Like, I'm on the bridge 8 hours a day. Majority of the time looking out a window. Literally staring out a window. Oh, that could easily drive you insane. I don't know. I really don't know. Sometimes I just start daydreaming because you're just staring at a window in the middle of the ocean for hours. I love it though. I can't lie, I love it. Sometimes it gets exciting. You'll see things that you weren't expecting to see, like enjoying seeing whales jump out of the ocean, seeing dolphins jump out. On the other side, I've seen capsized sailboats that we had to call in the Coast Guard and report because, they're dead. So, there's that. You gotta think about, where do you want to work when you get on a ship? Do you want to be outside? Do you want to be on the bridge? Or do you want to be in the engine room? The engine department. This is a group of people who ensures that the ship's machinery operates smoothly and efficiently. They are looking over the engine, all the motors, the electricity, the plumbing. On my last ship, there was a freaking elevator that they had to keep maintenance on. They have to keep maintenance on certain things with the davits and the lifeboats. If we break it, they fix it. And we usually are the ones who break it, the deck department. And the engineers have to be the ones who fix it. So, to be an engineer, you have to like working with your hands. All day, fixing things. Problem solvers. I would consider them the top-notch problem solvers. I love the engineers. Like I said, they're always fixing my stuff. I have clogged my toilet more times than I can count. And guess who comes running up to unclog it when I'm ready to take another dookie? It is the engineers, baby. But the great thing about being an engineer is you can take all these skills and qualifications and take them off the ship. If you ever want to go home and be a little landlubber, you can take those skills off the ship and apply them to other jobs in the real world. You can literally be an electrician. Electrician. I said that completely wrong. I'm stuttering so badly in this video. Electrician, a plumber, literally an engineer. They just have a lot of skills. A lot of handyman skills that can be brought anywhere. So, let's look at their duties here. Operating and maintaining the engines, troubleshooting mechanical issues, monitoring fuel consumption and emissions. That's actually a really big part of the engine department. Keeping track of how much fuel the ship has. I'm pretty sure they're just sitting there and watching a monitor on the fuel and because anytime I go down in the control room there, I'm just sitting there drinking coffee or smoking cigarettes, so I don't know if that's hard, but they seem to be enjoying themselves. Conducting routine maintenance and repairs on everything. Yeah, literally, repairs. That's all they do. It's repair things. Specifically the shit that we break. Engineers play a vital role in keeping the ship's systems running, from propulsion to power generation. So they gotta make sure those RPMs, baby, are in line. They gotta make sure those RPMs are not making that engine work too hard cause it to explode. Alright, I'm going to read off a list here for specific duties of the engine department. Operating and maintaining machinery. The engine department is responsible for the ship's propulsion system, including the engine, boilers, generators, pumps, and other machinery. Starting and regulating the engine. The engine department is responsible for starting the engine and regulating the engine speed, following the captain's orders. Keeping records. The engine department records information in the engineering log, which includes a historical account of the engine room's operational status, issues encountered, and actions taken. Keeping inventory. The engine department keeps an inventory of mechanical parts and supplies. They do get very uptight with their tools. I'm always having to sneak down there and take some screws and bolts out of there, but I gotta make sure no one sees me because chief engineer would be on my ass if you saw that. Calculating refueling requirements. The engine department calculates refueling requirements. Thank you for saying the same thing twice. Fabricating replacement parts. The engine department fabricates replacement parts utilizing various types of machinery. And standing watch. The engine department stands watch in the engine room, checking the RPMs, making sure everything's tip-top shape. The chief engineer is in charge of the engine department and is responsible to the ship's master for its efficient operation. Make the ship move. We steer it, but the engineers make it move. This is something I definitely got to go over with the engine department. You have a lot more fields you can go into. Like I said, electrician, plumber, pumpman. Pumpman is another one. On tankers, you can be a pumpman. But it comes with some shitty sides. Your guys' tests to qualify are a lot harder. You got going from a wiper to an oiler, or oiler to a QMed. Those tests, that's big boy shit. You gotta be on top of your books, you know? You gotta be looking into your stuff to advance. I mean, once you get into the mate section of the deck department, it starts getting really hard, but OS to AB, that's not a challenge. I think it's oiler to QMed. That is a challenge. That's weeks of school and tests. But if you're into it, and you're passionate about it, and you like working with your hands, the engineer, that is the right way to go. It is, you gotta be a certain type of person. You gotta be really into mechanics and working with your hands, and you gotta be into, for a third engineer, you gotta love dealing with poopies. That's just it. You are the guy who unclogs the toilet. You are always dealing with the plumbing systems. I mean, it's not as bad as it sounds. We call him the turd engineer, is what they call him, the turd engineer, I think. That's classic. But you're constantly dealing with shit. That's definitely a con to that. You're dealing with shit for via third engineer, but you're making it's a balance. It's a balancing act. You're dealing with shit all day, but you're making fucking money. You're making good money doing it. And then once you advance to a second mate, you just tell the second engineer, you just tell the third engineer, go clean up shit, dude. Just go clean up shit. I'm here watching the RPMs. I'm watching the fuel line, watching this barge hook up and take all our fucking shitty fuel off of here while you go clean the shitty shits in people's toilets. Yeah, I'm just blabbering on completely. Lots of problem solving, lots of, yeah, high demand qualified marine engineers. You can expect long hours from both sides, deck and engineer. That is no joke. You're working 12, 13-hour days, but with the engineer, I will say you guys are getting stuck a lot doing extra overtime late at night. Like if the barge pulls up and you guys have to connect and get fuel, you guys gotta watch it and make sure it's all going right. Uh, there's a lot of intricate things going on in the engine department that I'm not too knowledgeable about because I am a decky boy. Now, when it comes to having fun, I can't lie to you about this. I'm a deck boy. No one has more fun than the engineers on a ship. First ship ever I was on, I got there, was there for about 10 minutes. All the engineers were like, we're going out, come on, let's go. We went out, we partied all night. I didn't even get to sleep. I had to go show up to work the next day. After an all-nighter with the freaking engineers, my first day ever on a ship. It's awesome. They are always having fun. They don't, in port, it don't seem like they really have a watch schedule every ship I've been on. I'm not 100% sure. It probably varies per ship. I could be completely wrong about this. But they seem to be almost on a day work schedule. Because the engine is down. It's not running. So when you're in port, they're basically just a dayman. So they work all day and they literally party all night. Whereas in the deck department, we still have to stay and watch. So we kind of get fucked with the nighttime partying life sometimes because I have to show up at midnight to go back to watch from midnight to 4 in the morning. Whereas the engineers are showing up at 6 in the morning for their 8 o'clock time to clock in. So, yeah, the engineers are always having more fun than the deck boys. Okay, I'm going to create a scene here for the deck and engine department. I'm going to put you in the work environment itself and try to see which one you would really enjoy better. Kind of put you in the shoes of deck boy first here. Beautiful. Okay, let's try the engine room. Let's see what's going on down below in the dungeon. See if my engineers can relate and see if anyone wants to jump down there. That sound, you hear that constantly. We're in headphones all day. Like I said, it's slipping the AirPods though. So after all that rambling, what is the conclusion I come to? Who is the better department? You know what? Fuck it. Just join the steward's department. They get the most ass anyway.